Guys, today we're doing a project on the silhouette, and as you can see I've started to do a little bit on it here. And what I've got is, this was a pre-made card that I purchased in the Silhouette store, and I've altered the size to make it a 5x7 card when folded, so I've adjusted that, and it's a very pretty little design. And then it's got this piece here which is to go behind here to act as a background piece to the holes if you so wanted it, so you could have a contrast or just even a monochrome look. I've then taken two sentiments which were of the same font type and put them as one block, and I will go back to talking about those in a moment. And then I've got some flowers that I had which I shall also be using, and I've just basically put things roughly in position and sized them up. So what I was in the middle of doing, and I thought, because originally I wasn't going to show you the piece on the computer, and then I thought this might be quite handy to see. So what I'm in the middle of doing is sorting out my sentiment here, because what we've got is essentially 4 words, but I've lined them up exactly how I want them. So what I want to do is make sure that when I place them on my card that they're going to stay in the position that I've got them in. So in order to do that, as you can see here, if you can just see in these pieces here, I'm creating these little bridges between the words, which I will then weld on once I've finished putting them in position. And they will hold our words together in position, so that when we peel it off the mat they'll all be one piece because of these little bridges. And then when we stick it down, we don't stick these pieces down, and then we just snip across with our craft knife and lift those pieces out, and then it will all be correctly positioned on our card. So much simpler to do that way. So all I get is my draw a rectangle tool, and then I grab that and I draw a little rectangle down like so from one place to the next. So we're just going to grab a couple of these now and put them in position. What you want to do is try and make sure that that one isn't really in a very good place. I didn't do it long enough. So we want to, I think we'll have a nice long one down here. You don't want them very wide. You don't want them so thin that they break either. So when you peel them off the mat, that one's no good the way I did that. So I'm going to undo that. You see, it's about being able to put it straight down, because if it goes off slightly squiffy like it did there, you can't snip across very easily. So it's better to do it where you can go straight down like this one. And I'll do another one here. This is all part of that word, however, I think it still might be quite handy to put one across there, just to be sure that it keeps it in position. And also, ooh, that didn't, of course it's going to go straight. And one there as well to hold that in place. And then we're just going to put one down from here. Better to have too many than not enough, because you can easily snip them off. But so I think everything's all nicely adhered. So let's just take this down. Just a small amount. There we go. And we're going to go back to our selection tool, and we're going to select around the whole lot, and you can see how it's highlighted those elements. And we're going to group and then weld. So they all seem welded fine. Just before I go to the silhouette, I have decided that I would like to just add a small perforation down here to act as a fold line. So all you need to do is click on your draw a line tool and draw a line from top to bottom, and if you can see it's nice and easy to make sure it's straight, like so. Then go to your select tool button and select it. Go up here to your open line style window, and then you can come along here and you've got all sorts of different kind of perforations. Now, I quite like the small ones like this because it doesn't make it too obvious. It's just tiny little lines, so you don't get like a big chunk of a hole coming through. And then you might want to zoom in and just take it down a little bit, so it's a little bit shorter, a little bit smaller than the actual card. So just double check, because you don't want it perforating right up to the edge. So that's about right. So then what you want to do, let's just back out again now, is you want to select that and your perforation. So just click your shift key or highlight around both, and then what you want to do is go to your home button here. You want to go to your alignment, and then you want to say, I want to align it horizontally, so top to bottom in the center. Oh, sorry, left to right in the center, horizontally, of course, and then vertically the same as well. So there's hardly any movement that way. Or you can do it literally just on the center key, but sometimes you want to do one or the other. So again, if I just move this, oops, there, together as one now. So you can see that, and then all we'll do is group, and then that will then be as one unit, and we've got our perforations just as a help for a fold line. Okay, so here is our cuts ready to do. So we'll now link up to the silhouette, and we will cut these out ready to assemble.
Okay, so I've set it to blade 4, and off we go. Click cut and hope. Now this is a brand new mat, so I might have an issue with it actually being a problem to remove the lettering off, but we'll see. I'm doing it all in one colour. I thought it would be quite fun. Okay, so here it is all cut out. I was going to say printed out, but it's not printed, it's cut. All cut out. So now we've just got to very carefully try and lift some of these out where it's obviously quite delicate. And then the bigger piece I think we can probably pull off reasonably easily. But just be careful because it is a brand new mat, so that always makes it a little bit more sticky, obviously. So just very gently. You've got your tools as well if you're wanting to, you could use those. But with this big piece I'm quite comfortable. So that's our card base, and you can see how pretty that looks now. Let's put that to one side. That's the piece that goes behind it, so we'll just grab that off as well. So that's come out really nicely. Then we've got our little flowers. So I'm just going to use my little picky tool for those. Okay, so while that's just recutting that sentiment, I am just going to sort out the card parts. So we're literally just going to fold along our score line, which is perfect. It's not going to do anything, it just doesn't even show. So we've got gorgeous there. And I'm just deciding whether to put this piece behind or not. And at the moment I'm thinking it's rather nice without it, so I'm probably going to leave it without that piece in. So then the next thing I need to do is make my little flower. So I'm just going to take my score tool and just gently bend my petals. Like so. Not too much. And then I'm going to put a little bit of glitter on the edge of them using just some Zig two-way glue pen and dipping them into my glitter pot, I think. And a couple of my petals just pulled off because I was being a little bit rougher than I needed to be, so just be careful with that. And I'm just going to use the back of this card to sprinkle my glitter on. But I'm not too worried about those petals coming off because we can make that look fine. I don't think it's going to show particularly. And on this one as well, and just sprinkle on these. And as you can hear, my machine has stopped cutting, so while the glitter just adheres to that bit of glue, it's always nice to just give it a few minutes. I am going to go and get our writing sentiment and get that off the mat, and I did it just a little bit bigger because I think that was part of the problem on the card, and I also took the blade depth down to 3 because I've remembered that quite often with the cardstock on the silhouette it doesn't need as high a depth, and that kind of rips into it if you do it too deep. So hopefully with those two things that will make this come off a lot better. So as you can hear in the background, I'm recutting my sentiment. I tried it again in the wishing you happy birthday, and it still didn't come out right. I don't know why. I think it's just so thin, and I think it really does need paper, because what's happening is this particular type of cardstock was just peeling and separating, whereas I think if I'd have cut that on paper I wouldn't have had an issue. But I will try that at some point and see what happens. Anyway, so we've got my card folded, and what I did was, instead of having it wishing you a happy birthday that way, I changed it to just happy birthday, and I'm going to have it going that way, so hopefully it will come out okay. Oh, oops. And I was going on to say that in the meantime I'm going to take the glitter off my flowers, but the flowers have taken the glitter off themselves, so we're just going to very carefully try and pop as much on here as possible and pop it in the pot, and then grab the bit that I managed to throw everywhere. Okay, so then grabbing our 3 flowers, just popping those together as a layer. We'll get our little brad. And just sticking that through the middle, and then just opening that split pin at the back. And we've got a gorgeous glittery flower, which you can see looks really pretty, doesn't it? So that's going to be our embellishment. Okay, so I've managed to pull out all the little pieces, all the extra elements from the actual sentiments, and that's a big improvement from before, and you can see all of the letters, but it definitely is this cardstock, just in the way that this is the American Crafts, and I use it a lot on the Cricut, but I think for the delicate fine work on the silhouette for this, it's just not working so good, because I think the different layers are separating, and whereas if you had a piece of paper it wouldn't do that. I've found this a lot with the silhouette. It does prefer the lighter materials. I always find that if I'm going to do something intricate and with detail, then that's the one to do it on. Anyway, I think this looks absolutely stunning. So now the next trick is to get it off the mat itself. So I'm just going to use this little tool and try and gently pry that off. far in one piece, yay! And it obviously looks a little bit scruffy when it first comes off because it's all over the place, but that's not a problem. And then the next thing we need to do is actually just see how this fits onto our element here. And it's just going to be a monochrome look, so that's going to fit on there beautifully. And don't forget, we don't want to stick down these little joining pieces, so I'm going to now take my piece here and I'm going to take my zig, and I'm just going to go along and glue on the pieces. I'm just checking which pieces are definitely, so it's pretty obvious. Glue the pieces that are for sticking down and ignore the ones that that are the joining pieces, the little bridges. Okay, let's grab that quick before it sticks. Ooh. And then take our card and gently and carefully put this in place. There we go, so there's the happy birthday. And then we want to very carefully just grab our craft knife and very gently just cut through these pieces that are our bridges and pull those off. And I think that's it on that. And it is a little bit high, so that's where this is going to come in. I think we're going to try and make use of this. I think we might want to use some more. I'm just thinking I might separate these out. Okay, I like that, so let's just get some glue gel and stick those down. I've decided, as I say, to do these separately. So let's just grab a little blob of our glue gel, pop that in position, and what we can then do is add some pearls or something in the centre just to fill that in nicely. I just thought, I'm going through the holes. I think we are going to have to put the piece on the back of this that we were going to do, because I've just gone through the holes and put glue all over that. So I'll just get a cloth and wipe that off. There we go, that's fine. And then we'll just gently wipe that where those are, and that will soon dry and it won't be a problem. So we'll just put that in between just to stop it drying in the wrong place. So I just went over the happy birthday with my Zig pen, and I'm just putting the glitter over the top. And we'll just give that a few minutes to set, or let the glitter press in. Okay, so I found these gorgeous purple gems, and I'm just going to take I'm just going to use my knife here and just put a little blob, well, it's quite a big blob of glue gel in each centre here, and then we'll add a gem for each one, or into each one. And I think we'll use these nice ovally shaped ones that I've got here. On this bigger one, we're going to add 3 gems. Like so. And then just 1 on the others. There we go. And then I'm going to get myself a scrap of paper to lift this glitter off onto, and I imagine, I could be wrong, but I imagine it's gone on the inside of this card as well. Yep. Okay, so we're just going to brush off the excess on the inside here, and there's just a little bit more to dry. And then I'm going to stick this piece down on the inside, on the back part, because it's just a little bit floppy, so I want it to stick down and give that back piece just a little bit of strength. And then we're going to take the brush and we're going to just brush off this front here, getting rid of any excess glitter. Like so. And there is the finished card. And you've got it so that it's got that lovely lattice work through there, and that looks really pretty. It's nice and sparkly. I think that looks really, really pretty and really effective. I hope you like it, and I think other than the little issues that we had with that sentiment, it's a pretty simple card to put together. Just a few details with the little bridges, but otherwise, and once we got it cutting properly, once I got the size worked out, I think we were all good. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed making this with me, and I'll see you all again soon. Thanks for watching. Bye.